All right. Well, thank you for you guys that are here on a Memorial Day weekend with a 70 and sunny weather. It's pretty impressive. So I just want to give you guys a little bit of a background. I mean, how many of you guys have ever heard of Sangre before? Great, awesome. Not just one person. All right. Well, I do business development and partnerships for Sangre, and I'm here just to talk to you guys about how to get more distribution with your API. So my job is to find places for our APIs that are not Sangre.com, where we can click a button and get our stuff. It comes as a line item on somebody else's bill. So it's just, today 1/3 of all of our customers come that way. So it's just an interesting way for you to think about, like, how can you get scalability and a lot of customers and revenue for your product without having to actually have an inside sales force. We have that as well. And I want to take the most humble, most possible humble approach to this. So I've been there for about 2.5 years. But this is my first API job. I had no experience with email before or APIs, and I've learned a ton, specifically because of the fact that I've joined the company very early and where we are right now. And hopefully I'll be able to, give you any sort of insight and positive wisdom about what you do with API. So just to share some numbers about our growth. Right? This is when I joined Sangre, we were about 20,000 accounts. We don't share how many of those are paid or not, but we're doing really well. And we were sending about 2 billion emails a month at that time, and we had 3 distribution partnerships for our API. I was employee number 30, and we had 2 offices. And today the reality is just a very different company, right? We have 150,000 customers in over 132 countries. We're doing 13 billion emails a month. It makes us the second largest email sender in the world. We have over 25 distribution partners and 250 employees. This is a very different perspective in terms of, this is my 4th startup, and I've never joined something that has grown as fast from a scalability standpoint. In terms of how many calls we handle, the size of our customers, Uber, Pinterest, Tumblr, Foursquare, Pandora, Spotify, eBay, Priceline, Path, but you learn a lot in some of the things that we've done early that helped us out just do smart things. And this was how 2010 looked like. So when I joined the company, Heroku, Rackspace, and Software were already partners of Sangre, which means that you can just go there. Either how many of you guys here have already used or pushed code to Heroku? Cool. So we had our add-on there. Today we are a top 5 add-on there, and it is a fantastic channel for us. We get over 1,000 customers every month without a single phone call. Those mean people that are provisioning free accounts or people that are also getting paid Sangre subscriptions. But Heroku does the bill on our behalf, and so once you find some of those channels, then we have a partner selling on our behalf. You're getting distribution for our API, and it's just it's super interesting. It works really well in multiple ways that we're going to talk about a little bit more. And this is the reality of how many partners we have today that are either distributing Sangre in a certain way, either reselling, referring us on steroids, or doing some sort of combination about it. So my goal here, right, like I mentioned to you guys, it's just how can you actually get your API out there in places that are not your website? So I'm not here to necessarily talk about our product. I'm here to help, and but that's my job. My job is to find places where they're not Sangre.com, where people can get Sangre with the click of a button, a unified bill, and all the documentation and sample applications that they need. So the topic of the talk is actually 10 steps to get more distribution for your API. Just so I can get a sense of how many of you guys here have an actual startup with an API that is LLC established with co-founder. Cool, awesome. And the rest of you guys here for just learn more about APIs, or are you starting something just to understand a little bit more? Yeah, start something. Cool, awesome. Good luck. All right. So the first thing is just, I believe that one of the reasons why we're going to be super successful in less than 5 years, still have a lot to learn, but it was, number one was because, we worked on a universally distributed protocol. Why do you have an API? Because you want people to use it. And then when you think about the SMTP protocol, IMAP, or POP, those are things that already existed. We didn't create the email protocol. Email was already there. We just made it better, right? It's the same deal with Twilio and SMS, Stripe for payments, or even Bitcoin, the actual protocol, not necessarily the currency with blockchain. So those are just examples of things that everybody, because of that universal protocol, right? You can send emails, doesn't matter the client, where you are in the world, you will receive those. So whenever you're trying to tackle a problem with an API, think how broad and how much scalability you can get on things that are already there. Another simple example of thinking about that, right? 10 years before the iPad came out, HP already had that shitty Windows XP tablet. You guys remember that? Right? It's 10 years, right? So tablets already existed, they just made it better. I think that's why APIs make sense. They make sense because they make things better. They make that data or services or painful things when you're developing your application just work better because they exist. And when you think about email, payments, or text messaging, or even in this case, right, transactional authentication without a third party that recognizes it, just makes it simpler and better. So focus on that when you have ideas for whatever you're working on. The second thing, I think it's very important that your API adds more value than what you can capture, right? You need to think about it in a way that I'm very proud of our customers, and I'm very proud of the fact that we help them scale to a whole other level. So for instance, Instagram was one of our customers, until they were acquired by one of the largest email senders in the world. But we also had customers like Postros or Semify that were acquired by Twitter. And some of our largest customers are folks like HubSpot or Salesforce Pardot. That was acquired by ExactTarget and then Salesforce. What happens is that when people plug it into your API, they should get something where 1 plus 1 equals 3. It should be awesome, because then they can actually grow their app faster, better, harder, stronger, just like the Daft Punk song, instead of having to worry about managing email servers or monitoring their APIs or having to understand how they're going to do payments. So add more value in what you can capture. Think about that, right? We have marketing automation companies built on top of us, but we also have transportation on demand companies built on top of us. That's because we have a universal protocol that when you use us, it's just 1 plus 1 equals 3. I think the third part about those partnerships is that you have to be able to be there early. So a lot of the times, one of the reasons why we were very successful with some of our partners, not every partnership is successful, and sometimes you walk into a deal without necessarily knowing if the deal is going to rock or not. You can model as much as you want on Excel, but you never know, right? It could be the case that even if they have 100,000 customers, nobody wants your product. But being there early gives you a very competitive advantage. So we always try to be there as early as possible. When I joined the company, I was kind of doing everything. Now my main focus is to find new companies that we can partner with, where some of our more mature partnerships like Microsoft Azure, Heroku, or Salesforce or SoftLayer have a dedicated account manager for that. So being early gives you a huge competitive advantage because you're helping people out when you just earn this invisible social karma with the partners. We can't forget that to forge relationships that are going to give distribution to your API, it's about people liking you, not your product. Then, you have to have internal resources to support it. I joined SandWich as employee number 30, and there's a reason why we hired a dedicated BD person to work on distribution partnerships when they had 30 people, because you have to have direct customers before that. Channel won't solve all of your issues. It will just give you a lot of awareness and marketing buzz. It will bring you revenue, it will bring you large customers, but those channels, they take time to mature. And one of the reasons why we are successful, why we can go into deals and close them and bring value to our partners is because we have a dedicated technical team, dedicated partners, right? From a culture perspective, right? We have support from executive level and from our CEO that trusts that business development is something that makes sense. I talk a lot with a lot of my BD colleagues in the cloud API world, and a lot of the times, you know, it makes me feel very fortunate about the job I have, because a lot of the times they are running around with Excel trying to convince all their peers that they should do that partnership, and then they should like stop core engineering work to dedicate themselves to building a roadmap add-on or to build something else, right? Every partnership has some sort of custom technical work. How we solve that problem? Our partner guys are in Romania. They are affordable, and then, you know, think about that. Potentially, you can start having some partnership experience using Odesk, and, you know, find some guys in Vietnam or Ukraine that can test things out and do some things for you. But don't deviate your focus from the core work. But whenever you're doing this, make sure you have support from the organization. The organization can be your co-founders. It could be 3 people. Doesn't matter. People have to buy into the partnership before it even starts. Yeah, another point that we do is that, you know, as much as we like to say that we are a software as a service company, we also, you know, we do service as software. This is a very important aspect of it, because this is what allows us to be the market leader in our niche, because whenever you hit a certain volume of emails, you get a dedicated technical account manager. We are the only ones that can have 24/7 support. Whenever you call somebody, right, like, they'll pick up the phone. So as you scale your company, as you scale your API-based product, think about that. Think about doing things that are non-scalable, but that will add some level of service to your software. I would say that a healthy ratio would be something between 70% and 30%. So 30% of your employees are focused on account management, retention, and doing customer support. Primarily also because in our world, right, when you think about the cost of acquisition for new customers, they're expensive. But if they don't churn out, it's okay. It's okay to spend like $2 to get a guy that's going to give you $1 today, because his app is going to grow and he will send more emails or process more payments, or, you know, SMSs and things like that. What I also like is, you know, I like people that are lazy. I think the best developers are lazy developers. Yeah. And because, you know, the lazy developers are developers that are smart. So we want to be there whenever somebody has some sort of itch that they're lazy, right? So I want to be there as the answer on Stack Overflow, GitHub, every partner documentation, do the sample application. It's very important, very important. When you think about doing those partnerships and you find a distribution channel for your API, do the sample application, put it on GitHub, make it easy for the person that's using that other platform that's giving distribution to your API to understand how is it that they're going to use that. Because a lot of the times you say, oh, the documentation is already there. The thing, you know, like just go there. Like, it's not that simple. Just being at the right place at the right time when somebody has a technical question is invaluable. So think about that. The 7th step is, you know, pay attention to why you're doing this partnership. Why do you think that is really important? You know, sometimes it's you know, the best deals are the deals that never happen, and it's important for you to think about that. So for us, at least, right, those are the way that I approach some of the deals. That, you know, we as a group, as the BD team there at SendGrid. But the first thing is certainly, right, like, what's the revenue potential here? A lot of times, right, like, you don't have those answers right away, but the revenue potential is the first thing that you look at. The second thing is awareness. A lot of the times, I mean, the most beautiful history, right, from a company evolution story is like GitHub, right? It started as a huge grassroots movement, and now it's getting used by Fortune 500 enterprise companies. And why is that? Maybe, right? Somebody was at a hackathon like this one, or an event like this one, and then they had a problem, and then he fixed that by using one of those APIs. Then they work for eBay, and then he's in a meeting, and he say, hey, we need to send emails. Oh, what should I do? Oh, there's this thing called SendGrid. It's going to help you send emails and deliver your messages to the inbox. That's how we got eBay gifts as a customer. So don't underestimate the power of awareness. The hard part there is just calculating the ROI that's going to make your CFO smile. But it's just awareness is very important also for those partnerships. So it's not just necessarily about revenue. The third why that we look, is defensibility. So just like I was mentioning earlier, right, like, you want to be there before your competitors, but in addition to that, you want to be there because you have to be the first there. You got to be there to beat your competition. you have to be, in our case, right, like, we want to be the email answer when whenever those people ask those questions. Doesn't matter if it's on Heroku, on Azure, on Engineer, on CloudBees, like, we just want to be that answer. That's very important also. Defensibility is something that counts. And then the fourth one, which is a more obscure one, but it's also something that drives partnerships, right? Like, partner with people that eventually will buy you. So that's a great way to start a relationship if you're looking for an exit. So, just don't underestimate that as well. The eighth point is just launching and closing a partnership distribution for your API. It's just the first step. A lot of the times, right, like you would think that, sometimes, I can't mention names, but some of the deals that we worked on, it took over 2 years for us. The larger the company, the longer the deal is going to happen. So you have to have people with that stamina, that type of personality that won't take no for an answer. But then when you launch, you're like, I'm done. Awesome. It happened. No. You have to nurture that partnership. You have to do support training, sales enablement, make them understand that you exist. Because that guy that's giving distribution to your API, that is a platform, he has 50 other people knocking on their door. So why the hell he should care about you? You have to keep constantly reminding him that you exist, that you add value to his customers, and you add stickiness to their platform. That's also a very important point that we do with our partners, right? Like, if you didn't have, I think the add-on store in Heroku is just something brilliant, and they were the first ones to do it, and a lot of people just copy them. But that's because you have everything that you need there. It's just like instead of going to the farmer's market and the liquor store and whatever, you just go to the supermarket and get everything. It's much better. But don't forget that when you launch, there's a lot of work after the launch, and just keep nurturing that deal. The other point is just like, learn how to say no. Like I was, telling before, you don't have to. I think that this is interesting, right? Like I've started 2 companies, and I sold one. The other one didn't do well, and it's just we as entrepreneurs, we are default to yes. You want to say yes to everybody, right? You want to say yes to just more pizza, more beer, more money, more employees, more cost, everything. And as a venture capitalist, right, as an investor, your job is to actually understand the best way to say no. So think about that, right? Like, I think we are at least at an inflection point. I got 4 or 5, sometimes 10 people hitting me up on a weekly basis wanting to partner with us. It wasn't that way when I joined. We had to really run for all those people. And the first 2 is going to be the hardest one. But then after a while, you have to understand how to say no, how to stay focused on the things that matter for your organization. So don't underestimate, be okay with no. No is okay. And then also, learn that no means not yet. Because you're going to hear a lot of no's. So just, I never get no about, for an answer. In my mind, no is always a not yet. A lot of the times, some deals, they just don't make sense. But I don't recall all of our most successful partnerships today took us a lot of time to close. The ones where you get an in immediately, usually for whatever reason, I don't know if it's karma or what the fuck it is, but it just they just don't materialize that much. And that's it. I'm just gonna say that you guys are awesome because you're here and the weather's great outside. Thank you. Cool.
There was one thing you said you should be doing. What would it be? If you had to pick one, most important.
I think that the most important one is build your API in a way that people, it's not even listed there, but just build your API in a way that people can actually partner with you. That is very important. You have to architect that in a way where, for instance, we have 7 APIs today, and then our partnership API is our reseller API. It's very similar to also this other API that we have called customer sub-user. It's very simple. Just like you have like a parent account, so you have a father account, like a bunch of different childs, right? Like you can just, every time people click that button, you create like a sub-user or a sub-account under that. So So those are two APIs, and they're structurally they're very similar, but that's also what allow us to scale our integrations. So it's very important to think about how you can productize your API in a way that's going to make sense for your partnerships. So the reason why we did our API that way was also because we realized that a good channel for distribution for our product was hosting companies, right? Because you as a developer, you gotta host your app somewhere. And while you're doing that, you have to make a lot of choices, database choices, monitoring choices, email choices, and so it goes. So we want to be there when people are thinking about that, so they can just add that to the shopping cart. So I would say two most important things. So I'll not give you one, but it's just productize your API in a way that people can partner with you, and also find a niche where you can just reproduce that. Awesome. Any more questions? Awesome. Next question.
Yeah, so there'll be lunch served at
10 minutes.
10 minutes, 12:30. Yeah, there's a bunch of people hacking and stuff. Got one more talk after you.
Are you guys doing this?
Yeah, we work out in this co-working space.
Oh, nice.
Yep.